lot of buzz surrounding the Charlotte Hornets early on this season. No person better to talk about it than my man. I'm glad to see his face because I haven't seen him in quite some time. My man, Rod Boone. He is the Charlotte Hornets beat writer for the Charlotte Observer. Rod, good to see you, man. What's up?
What's cracking, Dex? How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm just, living, maintaining, enjoying NBA basketball as much as I can. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. Just living life, man. Living the dream, brother.
Good, man. It's really good to see you. Now, down there in the Queen City, covering the Charlotte Hornets, they have been pretty exciting. A lot of people had them as their league pass darlings, a team to watch to start off this season, Rod. What has been the keys to this early season buzz that we have seen around the Hornets? What's been going on down there in Charlotte?
Well, depth has been the main thing for these guys so far. I mean, they had a couple of injuries to deal with early on in preseason, in the regular season as well. I mean, Terry Rozier just actually came back and played his first real game of the season last night. He missed the last 4 games. He played the second game of the season in Cleveland, but he wasn't himself, man. He had a ankle injury that he actually sprained in practice leading to the regular season. So he wasn't himself, man. Basically the last week or so. So for him to come out there and just add fuel to this team last night against Portland kind of just showed where they're at right now. I mean, they haven't really been whole, and they are still actually 5-2. So the Hornets have a couple of good wins. They beat Brooklyn. They beat obviously Portland last night. So they can keep it moving, man. They'll be looking good right now. But right now, they just have to kind of just keep this depth happening because that's actually how they've been playing well so far this season.
Yeah, depth has been key for them for sure. I think the other thing when people look at the Hornets, Rod, whether it's last year or, starting into this year, is that LaMelo, is to impact LaMelo. He's come in and sort of transformed this team. And to be honest with you, Rod, LaMelo's been better than I thought he would be because I didn't know he could shoot the ball this well as he's been shooting it. How much of an impact have you seen him have on this team? And what have you seen in the growth of him from year 1 to year 2?
He's had a great impact on this team. I mean, he's the player that they were hoping to get. I mean, the Hornets are in a small franchise, man. And they're a small market down here. So for those guys to be able to find ways to actually sustain themselves and be viable and be relevant is not easy because, players necessarily didn't want to come here. Obviously, Gordon Hayward came as a free agent, but he came here. Now you have LaMelo here. So LaMelo's kind of the engine to this team. And if he can kind of keep doing what he's doing, you're right, man. They're going to be good for years to come because his jump shot was one of the main question marks he had coming in. People knew he can pass the ball. He had skills, that can kind of translate to the pro game. But for him to be able to shoot the ball the way he has been a real benefit for them because if he can draw defenders outside to that 3-point line to kind of make them defend him, if he does that, he can just blow by him and just make plays, man. So the Hornets right now basically go as far as LaMelo goes, and he's been really good so far this season.
Rod, do you think that his presence, I know he's just a second-year player, but do you think it's a game changer for the franchise? You kind of talked about it in the fact that guys didn't want to come to Charlotte, but he looks like the kind of star, and he might get to superstar status that guys might say, hey, I want to go play with him. Do you think that's a real game changer for the franchise?
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's kind of the reason that some of the players so far have actually talked about that and that this style of play with the Hornets is kind of, one of those things that if you're a player, you want to be a part of because you have a point guard who's giving you the ball, is happy to do so. That's one of the main things of being a good team. You want to be able to feel like if you're in a position to receive the ball, your teammate's going to get you the ball, allow you to score a bucket, man. You don't want somebody out there selfish who's doing, animal mixtape stuff out in the court to kind of show you that he can do what he does out there as a dribbler. You want a point guard to be able to get the ball to you, man, when you want it. So LaMelo definitely is going to have other players coming here because not only is his style of play exciting, but he's also like just a breath of fresh air of the court, man. The guy likes to just have fun. He just smiles all the time. People like being around him. So LaMelo is what the Hornets need to kind of build around because he's that dude, and he's playing well for them so far.
Speaking of playing well, you know who else is playing well, Rod? Miles Bridges, man. And he did not get the contract rookie extension that he thought he would before the season, but he's been balling out. And I would think now his value's gone up. How important has he been in this team's turnaround as well?
He's been tremendous, man. He actually had 4 straight games scoring 30 or more points, which is unheard of from him. He's had some good games in his career. He's shown a burst here or two, but for him to come out there and score 30 points for 4 games in a row, been named Eastern Conference Player of the Week last week. Just shows just how much he's grown. And the organization wasn't really sure he had it in him. It's not a slight in any regards. It's more like saying we think he could be a good player, but he's shown he can be like a star player in this league, man, if he just continues to do what he's doing right now. So he definitely is earning himself some more money. The extension didn't happen before the season started, so that's going to be a RFA in the offseason. So now it's going to be more about just the Hornets and everybody else figuring out where his number is, but he's definitely earned himself some big bucks, man. He's probably going to be at least $100 million plus player for his whole contract, whatever he gets this offseason.
Do you think his play and what we're seeing with him right now, do you think that's sustainable for him throughout the season? Do you see this continuing for him?
I think he may drop off slightly. I mean, 30 points a game, where he was at is kind of crazy. But last night against Portland, he had 9 assists, which is career high for him. So he's shown that even when he's not scoring the ball, I think he had 19 points. So he still scored, but he wasn't up to 30-point range. We're still doing different things with his rebounding, blocking shots, giving energy. It's definitely sustainable, man. It just depends on just his scoring mark. But I definitely believe that Miles Bridges is a piece that this team likes a lot, and they want to build around. So you see with him and LaMelo, the rapport they kind of have formed so far has been great for the Hornets. So Miles is going to be here, barring something crazy happening for years, man.
Rod, how important was it? They got waxed by Miami down in Miami. And how important was it to see this team bounce back the way they did against Portland? Now they have a game tonight against the Cavs. How important is it for this young team trying to get to where they are to have that bounce back ability?
It was actually really important for them because you're right. Miami is the division champs, okay? We know the team that they have. That game was also in Miami, so it's on the road. The Hornets played well in Orlando a couple nights earlier, but to go out there and get smacked the way they did on national TV and then kind of come back, making the game a little bit late, show that, hey, they got a little bit of fortitude up in them, man. They're not going to just roll over. And then to come back last night and to bounce back against Portland was a great win for them because Portland controlled the game for pretty much the first 3 quarters. They were up, if not a point or two, they were up pretty much, the entire better part of the game. But the fourth quarter, the Hornets just found the extra gear and just were able to kind of pull that game out. So tonight, they have another game against the Cavaliers. It's important for them to kind of win this one too because not only is it a back-to-back, but they go out to the West Coast now to play, a tough trip beginning with Wednesday in Golden State, and they go to Sacramento on Friday, followed by games in LA against the Lakers and Clippers next Sunday and Monday. So it's going to be a tough trip for the next week or so. So to get this game tonight is very important for them as well.
Well, here's the thing, Rod. Everybody has this team as their darlings. They love watching them. They're really exciting. But I think one of the questions is, can this team actually compete for a playoff spot in the East? What do you say to that question? Can they do that?
I think they can because here's the thing. If you look at the team last year, all right, before LaMelo got hurt, before Gordon Hayward got hurt around March or so, they were kind of around 4th or 5th in the Eastern Conference. Same as the Knicks, same as the Hawks. But those injuries just kind of took a toll on the team, man. Then Miles Bridges also had a little bit of COVID issues toward the end of the season there. So you didn't have your emotional leader out there as well. So when you're missing, 3 key players, essentially 3 starters for the better part of the stretch run, it was tough for him. So despite all that, they still made the play-in tournament. They obviously lost to Indianapolis, and then to the Pacers, Indiana Pacers, and lost to those guys in Indianapolis. But if you add all that in and see what they have this year with more depth, adding Kelly Oubre, LaMelo Ball being another year of growth for him, Miles Bridges playing well, Terry Rozier got his bag and he's back. Mason Plumlee to kind of help plug that middle a little bit. Definitely are a playoff team in my mind, man. It's just more about where they finish. And I think if all goes well, it could be around that 5th spot. If things don't go well, maybe around 7th or so. But they definitely are a playoff team in my mind for sure, Dexter.
What do you think are the keys in terms of them accomplishing that goal? You talked a lot about depth at the beginning of this conversation, right? That they're really deep. And then you brought up last year how they had the injuries, the COVID situation, all that happened for them. Is the key just staying healthy? If this team stays healthy, they should get to where you think they can go?
Definitely, man. That's the one little asterisk you want to put next to this team because Gordon Hayward, as we know, man, has had a little bit of injury problems these last couple of years. So he's one of the main keys. If he can stay healthy and they can manage his health toward the entire season, make sure he's able to come playoff time, they'll be okay because they have a lot of playmakers, man. And that's the thing if you think about it. They have Gordon Hayward, okay? They have LaMelo Ball. They have Terry Rozier. They have Miles Bridges. They have Ish Smith off the bench. They have all these guys who can come in and create for you off the dribble and make plays and get other people's shots. So Definitely, man, it's all about depth and health. If they can just make sure that they just stay healthy and are whole come playoff time, they're gonna be a tough out for any team, man, because they have enough elements to be able to get it done in the postseason.
If I had to ask you to make a prediction, Rod, you said anywhere from 5 to 7. Is your prediction they make the playoffs and they avoid the playing completely? If you were a betting man, would you bet on that right now?
For sure, man. For sure. Again, it depends on health, but even so, they certainly have enough depth. They can sustain an injury or two to be able to at least get past that 7 spot. So I definitely believe they can get past that playing tournament range because, again, they have a lot of talent, man. I mean, Kelly Oubre is playing out of his mind so far. So you even throw a guy like him off the bench and see that he's playing as a sixth man, and you see the talent they have. To me, they're definitely a playoff team. And again, barring some injuries or something crazy happen to these guys, they're going to be at least sixth or higher in my mind come playoff time.
You know what? I'm excited to see, Rod. 'Cause I saw you tweeted out. The news just came down with the City Edition jerseys being revealed. Those Charlotte ones, man, those are fire. I love those. They look really good. They look
Yes, sir.
really good.
They kind of took a little bit of the homage to the old days, man. Anybody that follows the Hornets knows that way back when in '88, when the team was first accepted, they had a little event where they showed the uniforms, and behind the uniform unveiling was some pennants that had some cursive on it with the name of the city, Charlotte. And that's never been used really in a uniform for the Hornets. So they want to kind of use that to kind of pay homage to the old days, man. So to me, the guys who do marketing for the Hornets know what they're doing because to use a lot of the old school logos and whatnot is what the fans here in Charlotte like because they're all about nostalgia and old days of LJ and Zono's guys, man. So I'm with you, man. The jersey is fire. I look forward to seeing
Yeah.
a little bit on the court start next week.
Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the core. I always love watching them on League Pass. The Hornets are definitely a team to watch. Rod, haven't seen you in a while, man. It's really good. You do great work with the Charlotte Observer and continue to do the great work, my brother, covering the Hornets. We appreciate you, man.
Anytime, my man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate you guys.